Hey y'all, my name is Will Quarterman, and I will be discussing the impact of 16 and pregnant on the teen birth rate. Roughly 29 out of every 1,000 girls aged 15 to 19 gave birth in the United States during the year 2012. Now, you would think, with the United States being such a developed country, that this is perhaps a pretty low rate to have. However, that's not the case. Out of all developed countries, the United States has the highest teen birth rate. Most developed countries, on average, have about 5 to 10 births per 1,000 girls. Now, teens who become pregnant, they are at a higher risk of dropping out of school and not receiving prenatal care. They are more likely to have nutritional deficiencies, poor eating habits, and are also at a higher risk of contracting HIV. And for girls who become pregnant at around the age of 15, they more than likely have an underdeveloped pelvis, and having a pregnancy going on during this time can lead to difficulties in childbirth. For babies who are born to teenage mothers, they are at a higher risk of being born prematurely and with low birth weights, and they are also at a risk of socio-economical, language, and intellectual deficiencies. Current policies that the United States has to address teenage birth include sex education programs, abstinence-only education programs, and improved access to contraceptions. The problem with this is that it's left up to the state how they will implement each of these programs, and then even then, some school districts, they have some say in how they will implement it themselves, and so a lot of teenagers are not really getting the education that they need to know the true effects of what a birth can have on their bodies and what it can cost them later on in life. So I will be looking at the paper Media Influences on Social Outcomes, the Impact of MTV's 16 and Pregnant on Teen Childbearing. It's written by Melissa Kearney and Philip Levine. So the paper, it analyzes the impact of the TV show 16 and Pregnant and on the teens who watched the show. The study found that there was a 4.3% reduction rate in teen births during the run of the show, and it also found that teens were more active in finding out different contraceptives to use during sexual intercourse, and they were also looking up and finding out more information about abortions. This paper or study introduces an entirely new policy that hasn't been addressed before, and that is the MTV show 16 and Pregnant. The study uses an ordinary least squares to compare data on teenage births between 2005 to 2011 and Nielsen ratings for the show 16 and Pregnant. For the data, they were actually able to go in and look at the state and then the county and the district and compare that information to Nielsen ratings specifically for that area. And then because the ordinary squares is a bit biased, they also used an instrumental variable strategy that took Nielsen ratings for MTV for the years prior to 16 and Pregnant to predict local area 16 and Pregnant ratings. What they found was that for each additional, well, when they used the OLS, for each additional ratings point for 16 and Pregnant, they found that teen births were reduced by 1%. And for the IV model, they found that a 1 point increase in ratings for 16 and Pregnant, the teen birth rate decreased by 2.37%. So even though that their main model was the OLS, and they were only using the IV to confirm the OLS findings, the IV actually not only confirmed the findings of the OLS, but it also showed just how much of an impact the show has had on teen birth rates. So, to conclude it all, the what the paper found was that 16 and pregnant did reduce the teen birth rate and had a very sizable impact on teen birth rates, and that the show has more of an influence with a younger audience, um, who obviously watch the show more. But that influence only lasted until about the age of 24, and as a whole, the new policy that the study looks at essentially is saying that, maybe it's time to look at a new way of presenting the information about teen pregnancies to teens, put it in a way that it relates it to them. So actually seeing what it's like to be a teenage mom, to see, what happens to the body, seeing how you may not be able to hang out with friends, how you have to, put the baby first. That has more of an impact on whether kids or whether teens will get pregnant than actually, just sitting in the class and perhaps, just reading about reading about sexual intercourse for about a week or two and then moving on to the next subject. And so in the future, this study would like to see more hands-on based policies that teens will be able to relate to more so that it can have a better impact on their lives.